Hello everyone, welcome to Deepti's biology class. So here we are starting with the second chapter of biology, that is the chapter number 7 in your science. Class 10 science book, it is chapter number 7, but according to us it is the second chapter of biology, that is control and coordination. In this chapter we are mainly dealing with how our body controls or how the body responds to what happens outside or what happens inside our body. So here we will be studying about our nervous system. So before that you must understand there are two systems which helps in our body's control and coordination. One is nervous system. So there will be a nervous system plus there will be a hormonal system. So this is the nervous system and this is the hormonal system. So these two systems together controls almost all activities of our body. If one is absent, other cannot function. So please understand this one. The body is controlled or coordinated. Control and coordination. One, we have to control our body according to what happens outside and inside. Same time we have to coordinate various activity which takes place in our body. There should be a balance. So that is done by both these system together. Which are the system? Nervous system and hormonal system. So let's see about nervous system, how the movement and everything takes place. So movement is also a kind of coordination, right? Now the ability of organism to move certain body part is movement. Now when they move from one place to another, we call it as locomotion. Organisms show movement in response to stimuli. Stimuli meaning is that the reason which causes a change in your body. If you touch a hot object, you withdraw your hand, right? That hotness or the hot object is the stimulus which caused a movement. What is the movement? Withdrawal of your hand. So anything which causes a change. From a dark room you are going into sunlight. When that extreme light comes into your eyes, immediately you close your eyes, right? So what is the stimulus here? The stimulus is going to be light there. When there is extreme cold outside, you may protect yourself, right? You may wear sweater or anything, right? So what is that stimulus which made a change in your body? The stimulus is going to be that cold situation, right? Stimulus is anything which causes a response or a change in your body. Now organisms move in response to various kinds of stimuli. These can be light, heat, nutrients, food, or finding mate. These all are something which we will be responding. Why? Because these are the stimulus. So stimulus is anything which causes something, we call it as response. Response, or we can also term as a change in us. This change can be movement, right? Now all activities in animal is controlled and coordinated by nervous and endocrine system. What is the meaning of this endocrine? You know, these are nothing but hormonal system. The system which deals with hormone, we call it as endocrine. So which are the system that control and coordinate our body? That is nervous system as well as the endocrine system. What are hormones? These are the chemical messengers which assist the nervous system in carrying out various functions. They are secreted by endocrine glands. In the chapter digestive system we have studied about glands, right? There I have told you what is endocrine gland, exocrine gland, heterocrine gland, if you remember, right? Now this portion as a separate we will be studying, right? No, don't worry about that. Hormones we will be studying in detail, but for right now you understand these are some chemical substances which are released into the blood. Through the blood it reaches to the brain or our nervous system. We know brain is the part of nervous system, right? Now this hormone, see, suppose your nervous system or brain wants to perform something. This performance can be done only by the assistance of the hormone. Who produce hormone? Endocrine gland. Where it produces? The glands produces it into blood. Now blood takes this hormone wherever it is required as per the instruction of the nervous system, right? Now hormones in plants coordinate the movements. Not only animals, even plants are also having hormones. This is about some small introduction about movement, coordination, control and everything, right? Let's see this thing in detail. Now, this is introduction to control and coordination in little depth. Herein we will be discussing about what is nervous system. We are not talking about hormones at all. We are only talking about nervous system, right? Mainly, if someone is asking you what is nervous system, just you have to say that this is like a controlling part of our body, which means any damage to the nervous system, our body cannot be controlled. So who controls our body? Like when we talk about a cell, nucleus controls the cell, right? Same way, the nervous system is the main part which controls all other part of the body mainly, right? There are so many other things, but the major thing which control our body is nervous system. Now, but maybe this thing immediately you will not understand. Slowly we are going to study what is given in this flow chart. What is given in this flow chart, that is what we are going to study in the further lesson. So before that, let's go through all these terms and all so that you will get some idea. Now our nervous system is divided into two. Central nervous system, which is also termed as CNS, and peripheral nervous system, that is PNS. What is the difference between the term central and peripheral? Suppose if this is something, right? This point is becoming the central, right? This is the central point. So away from the central toward this outside, right? These are going to be the peripheral. Same way, our body also having a central nervous system as well as peripheral nervous system. So what will be the difference here? The central nervous system is going to be the coming in our major central axis. Example of these are like a central nervous system. When we are talking about, do you know, there is just a rough drawing I am making. Suppose if this is your brain, what the brain is, okay, now followed by brain, there is a long thread like structure. This structure we call it as spinal cord. So where is spinal cord, where is brain, we know, right? Now this brain is protected by a bony case, we call it as skull, and this spinal cord is protected by something we call it as our backbone. This backbone is also termed as vertebral column. This diagram no need to draw, just for you to understand. Somewhere in a rough way you can note down. So the central nervous system. Now if you imagine this structure is, just imagine the same structure in your body. It is coming in the central axis of your body, right? The brain is coming within the skull or in the head region, followed by through the central axis, this long thread-like structure which passes, we call it as spinal cord. So brain, which I have written here as B, the brain is protected by a bony case called skull. Spinal cord is protected by the backbone or vertebral column. So what is the center? So you no need to count this skull and backbone because these are made up of bones. We are not talking about the bone system right now, right? We are talking about the nervous system. So let me clear this area. So what the central nervous system is made up of? It made up of spinal cord and brain. So where is brain, where is spinal cord, we know, right? These all are made up of nervous tissues. We will study what are all these nervous tissues. So now apart from the spinal cord and brain, one more thing is written here, that is brain stem. Now brain stem is the region which connect spinal cord and brain. Somewhere here we can say if this is the brain, so this region. Somewhere here there is a connection between this brain and this spinal cord. This is the spinal cord and this is the brain, right? Now almost this region we can call it as brain stem. What is the function of brain stem? That connect the brain to the spinal cord. So what is spinal cord? Spinal cord is a column of nerve between the brain and the peripheral nervous system. Just you understand what is spinal cord. We'll study in detail. Before that you understand, spinal cord is a column of nerves which runs from the brain. At least that much you can remember. From the brain, this is what we call spinal cord. So what is brain? Brain, we know it is protected by skull that is divided into three major parts. These are forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. We'll see in detail later. So till now what have you understood about nervous system? Nervous system is divided into two. What are they? Central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system runs in the central axis of the body. These are the main nervous tissues. Which are they? They are brain and spinal cord. These are in turn connected by brain stem. Once we see with the diagram, it will be little more clear, right? Now let's come back to the peripheral nervous system. What is peripheral nervous system is that, just let me make a rough diagram. I don't know how much you are going to get from this diagram. It is just rough diagram only. Now, okay, in this side I will make it. As I told you, this is the brain followed by spinal cord, right? So here is going to be the skull and this is going to be the backbone or vertebral column. Now all those nerves which arises from this one, all those nerves, like we need to connect this part to various part of the body, right? All these nerves which are connected from this brain as well as spinal cord, we call it as peripheral nervous system. So we say that it is the body's link to the outside world. Here outside world in the sense from the central axis, whatever, see this is the central axis, right? The brain and spinal cord. Brain is protected by skull, spinal cord is protected by the backbone. From the central nervous system, or a simple way we can say that peripheral nervous system arises from the central nervous system. In the sense, it arises from the brain as well as spinal cord. Suppose when you are touching a hot object with your hand, the first thing is coming in contact with that hot stimulus is actually our peripheral nervous system. Then the peripheral nervous system gives that to the central nervous system, then to the brain. Are you getting the point? So what is peripheral nervous system? Just you imagine there is brain and spinal cord, which is the part of central nervous system, is in the central axis of your body. Away from the central axis of the body, whatever nerves, the term nerve. You know what is nerve? Nerves are the group of neurons together. Many neurons. You know what is neuron? This structure, you know, this structure you might have studied in the junior classes, right? This in a cluster we call it as nerve. Many neurons together we call it as nerve. These nerves which arises from the central nervous system we call it as peripheral nervous system. So remember, brain and spinal cord do not belong to peripheral nervous system because it is in the central axis. Peripheral includes all the nerves. What are nerves? Group of neurons which arises from the central nervous system. So it is the body's link to the outside the world. Whenever you touch an object, you are directly not touching with your brain or spinal cord. Remember that. Actually, we are touching with our hand, maybe with the leg and all, right? All those areas are not. Just you can imagine your hand is not having the brain, right? Your hand is not having the spinal cord. Actually, your hand has a part of peripheral nervous system which help you to link to the outside world, right? Now, this peripheral nervous system is divided into two. Autonomic nervous system and somatic nervous system. We will study in detail. So before that, a rough idea we will see. This autonomic nervous system regulates involuntary body activities. Now what is the meaning of involuntary? Our body has two types of activities. One is voluntary, another one is involuntary. Now, difference between voluntary and involuntary is that voluntary activity means you can do with your will. Suppose you want to stop this video, so you want to pause this video, you want to forward this video, all these things you are doing voluntarily. But when you watch the video, same time you are breathing, your heart is beating, you are closing and opening your eyes, right? These all are involuntary activities. Involuntary activities are those which cannot be controlled by our will. Such things are controlled by this autonomous nervous system. It regulates body process like heart rate, respiration, digestion, pupil contraction. Pupil contraction means a part of eye, right? All these things. Just as a rough idea you understand, later we will see in detail. Now, this autonomic nervous system is divided into two: sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. Just you imagine these things, you are walking on the road or somewhere. Immediately in front of you there is a strange animal is coming. Two things can be there, right? Either you fight with that animal or else you run away from there. Two possibility. When you see some strange situation, either you fight with the situation or else you flight. Flight means run away from the situation. In both these cases, sympathetic nervous system works. That means it prepare our body for action and stress, which means our body is prepared for violent action. Violent in the sense whether you are running from here there or else you are fighting with the animal, you need energy, right? Such a situation we call it as sympathetic nervous system. When you become angry, your sympathetic nervous system is working more. So what is sympathetic nervous system? It prepares our body for violent action such as fight or flight. Either you will fight in that situation or else you flight. Flight means you run away from that situation. Both needs energy. So we say that it prepare our body for violent action. Violent in the sense increase in rate of everything. Your heartbeat increases, your breathing rate increases, you need more oxygen, right? Because you want to fight or you want to run. Both situation you need more energy. Now what about parasympathetic nervous system? See, you might have seen when two people are fighting, in such a force they are fighting. But if we try to separate, it will be very difficult. After some time they calm down, right? Calm down meaning is that they come back to that normal position. We call it as parasympathetic nervous system. So one prepare for violent action, another brings down that violent action. That is parasympathetic nervous system. Maybe in later lectures it will be more clear. So autonomic nervous system, in both the situation, what it helps? It helps in controlling involuntary activities. What are those involuntary activities? Which we cannot control with our will, like heartbeat, respiration and all, right? So how many types of autonomic nervous systems are there? Sympathetic and parasympathetic. Sympathetic prepares for a violent action. After some time when it comes back, it is what we call it as. That means here our heartbeat, breathing rate, energy requirement, everything increases. Its opposite happens in the parasympathetic nervous system. Both are coming under autonomic nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Now what is somatic nervous system? It carries sensory information from sensory organs to the central nervous system. Just you can remember about the somatic nervous system as like sensory information. Sensory information is that any stimulus which is in contact with your sense organ. Like you are touching something, right? Your skin is a sense organ. So that information is carried by the somatic nervous system and will be given to the central nervous system. What is actually central nervous system? This will be either to the spinal cord or to the brain. In a simple way you understand, somatic nervous system is going to carry the stimulus or the information which are in contact with your sense organ. And it help to command the voluntary movement. So or else in a simple way, as a flowchart for learning, this flowchart purpose you can learn. Autonomic nervous system helps to control involuntary activities, while somatic nervous system helps to control voluntary movement. What is voluntary movement? The thing which we can control. Now you have to remember, when I am telling involuntary activities are controlled by autonomic nervous system, it doesn't mean that only this part will help. There can be some part of central nervous system which can also control some involuntary and voluntary activities. Now on what basis we have given this classification? This classification is based on where these different types of structures are located. This is actually, we can say that the division is based on two ways. One is location, another one is function. In two ways we have divided the entire nervous system from the head to the toe. The entire body nervous system can be divided into central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system consists of all those part of nervous system which comes in the central axis, such as spinal cord or brain, or say brain and spinal cord, and these two are connected by brain stem. That you will understand in a minute what is this brain stem. Even if you avoid this also, no problem in flowchart, you can just write brain and spinal cord. Peripheral nervous system means all those nerve means group of these type of neurons we call it as nerve. Group of nerves which arise from the central nervous system, either going away from the central nervous system or coming towards the central nervous system. It may control voluntary and involuntary activities. So in next lesson we will see the detailed structure of neuron. Thank you for watching. Do recommend with your friends.